Well, hi there, and welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani, and I really would like your call today, your takes on this topic, because it's a very important subject we are covering, and it affects all of us where we live, and you'll see where I'm going with this. So I need your calls. This is your show. We are live today. We've got Matt Kabinski at the phones, Charles Beery at the controls, Michael McCall on social media, and yes, it is me, Debbie Georgiani. First time in 58 years I've ever worn glasses. My first set of glasses. Never have I ever before. I was very fortunate, but unfortunately, I had a situation happen with my right eye due to the treatment that I was undergoing, and so they're trying to correct it. So you've got me with glasses on. So everybody, you can comment there. Be nice if you want to make your comments, because I spent a lot of money on them. No, just kidding. Actually, they came under insurance, so it was okay. But I'm excited. I'm getting used to it. So it's a different feel. It's a different vibe for me on video. So I'm waving it to everybody on the chats. Tell me what you think. If you want me to get a different pair, I will, because I would do that for the Take Two family. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about youth homelessness. Okay, this is a very important topic. Arizona is leading the nation for rising youth homelessness rates. That's according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. That was from last year. And that's unfortunate because I live in Arizona. But 4.2 million youth are homeless. In the U.S. We're talking just the U.S., folks. 4.2 million youth. Has this impacted your community? Maybe your family? Were you one of the youth that we're talking about, and maybe you were homeless at one point, or you were a young adult? Maybe you chose to be homeless. There's that group that seems to think that they want to be homeless because they can be free spirits. They don't have to answer to anybody. They don't have to work. They don't have to do anything. You know, if you've gotten into maybe drugs or something of that nature, and that forced you into a homeless situation, could you please call in and share your experience of this, your takes, your understanding, what we can do about it? Because as Catholic Christians, there's a lot we can do about it. First and foremost, prayer. Prayer works. And I'm going to also share about Mother Teresa. So I want you all to please weigh in on this. You don't have to be Catholic to call in. I really need you to pick up the phone, stop what you're doing, pull over safely to the side of the road, and make your best call today, because what you have to say today can change a life. You know, there are people right now living in their cars, living on the streets, that still have cell phones, that still have the radio on, and they are listening to us right now. Maybe there's something you can say that can inspire them, encourage them to never, ever give up, never lose hope, to try and work their way off of the streets and back into a stable situation. Folks, this is an important topic. Youth homelessness. It's on the rise. It's a problem. We need to deal with it. As Catholics, there are so many ways we can. So let's fill the phone lines now. Matt is waiting. Start dialing, please. 833-288-3986. That's 833-288-3986. And you can leave your comments on social media. I'm waving to you right there, and Michael McCall will pick the messages up there and put them on the document for me. I'm moving a little slowly today because this is actually the first time I am wearing these glasses. So, you know, my husband said to me, he wears glasses all the time, and he said, Debbie, you got to get used to it. You're going to get a little disoriented, and I'm a little bit, but I'm hanging in there. It's pretty good. It's a low prescription, so it's okay. But I do need your help, so please, Jerry will be back tomorrow. I need you to fill up those phone lines and talk about this serious situation we have going all around the world, actually. The youth are on the streets. They're unaccompanied. They are alone out there. They are sometimes talk about sex trafficking. There's all sorts of angles to this that are really, really dangerous, very criminal. We really need to address it, folks. So please fill up those phone lines. Tell us what you know about this, how you dealt with it. Maybe it was it affected your family, your community, your neighborhood, your parish. We had a homeless young gentleman that used to actually live just right on the street outside of the parish that I worked at. It was a real problem, and he had He had a drug addiction, and there was a lot to it. It was very complex. So that's why we want to tackle this topic. This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. This is where you are the teachers here. With your lived experiences, we can help others grow in holiness and understanding and formation. You name it. The sky's the limit because God is using the radio airwaves. So please, now's the time to call in 833-288-3986. Youth Homelessness. And maybe you can share about why you think it's happening. Now, they do have the stats, and they talk about financial situations or foster care or things like that some of these children have fallen through the cracks, and there's a problem. So maybe you're a social worker, or you're in that area of expertise where you deal with a lot of youth, and you can tell us, the inside situation of what's going on. What do we need to talk about? What do we need to discuss? What do we need to pray for? There goes the phone lines. Come on, Take Two. You can do this. Whatever you have to say about it, say it now. I'll tell you right now, I'm very disappointed that Arizona is leading the nation for youth homelessness. It says right here, as of 2023, 900 people under the age of 25 are currently homeless in the state of Arizona. 900. So almost 1,000 youth are walking around the very hot streets of Arizona. Yesterday, I believe it was 108. That is just so dangerous. And these children need to be children. They need to grow up properly. They need to have parents in the home to guide them. They need a great foundation, and yet they're on the streets. Why? Why are they on the streets? Let's talk about it. 833-288-3986. You can also email us at take2@EWTN.com. That's our email. It comes right to us. And also, maybe you were homeless at one point and you would like to talk about how you got off the streets, how you got a better plan in place for a better future for yourself. Because everybody's got a purpose and a plan and a reason that we're here. So we need to work together as the mystical body of Christ. Please call in. Let's talk about this youth problem that's happening where our youth are on the streets and they need our support. 833-288-3986.
Now, here comes another thought from Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar. We cannot put off a change of life for tomorrow or old age, for there may be no tomorrow. Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar features an inspirational message for each day of the year. It's available from the EWTN Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com. That's EWTNRC.com.
Life coaching has been around for many years, helping people with their relationships, careers, health, and finances. However, with Stand Tall, it's all Christ-centered, and with that important focus of mind, body, and spirit. We take life coaching to a whole new level. Find us at standtalltoday.com and get a free consultation with one of our experienced life coaches. Today is the day the Lord has made, so begin today with a new path for your life at standtalltoday.com.
One of the reasons we should go to Mass is because, if you look in the Catechism, you will see the fruits of Holy Communion. And these are remarkable things that we can receive at every Mass that we attend. We encounter the risen Lord, and He shares something of His divine life and love with us.
The Holy Sacrifice of the Mass, live from the EWTN Chapel, every morning, 8 Eastern, on EWTN Radio and Television.
We're talking about youth homelessness today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Jerry will be back tomorrow. You have me today, and I definitely want to hear from you. So please dial in about this. If there's something you know about, if you work in this field, if there's an experience you've had with your family or with somebody in your community, we really want to have you have the platform to share with the world what you know, because we have to, unless we're going to be on the streets working with these young adults and children, we don't know. We see things on TV, and you can't always believe what you what you hear on the news and stuff, because we don't know how they're trying to spin it. So we don't know the real truth of what's going on the streets in our community. So if you have that experience, call in. I need your help. 833-288-3986. Okay, we are going to get to the phones. Let me just make sure. 2 open phone lines. That's it. 2 open phone lines. So if you have something to say, you feel like a tug in your spirit, we believe that's the Holy Spirit. So make the call, pull over safely to the side of the road, and give us your best knowledge on this. But before we get to the phones, let me share an online learning series, Women Made New. Discover the beauty, truth, and goodness of the church with the EWTN online learning series. You can delve into the riches of the faith and grow closer to the Lord with free videos and study guides. I love that. Anything free, I love. In Women Made New, you'll be inspired by the stories of Kristalina Everett, Joy Pinto, Teresa Tomeo, and Cameron Frad, as you hear how God helped them overcome trials and that He will help you too. Enroll in our courses today at learningseries.ewtn.com. Okay, let me make sure I get that website correct. learningseries.ewtn.com. Remember, I'm using the excuse that I'm wearing brand new glasses, so you got to give me a little bit of a break today. But I'm doing pretty good. I'm not feeling dizzy yet. Okay, so we have a couple open phone lines. If you have something to say about this, please call in. We did have one person on the line that just dropped off. If you'd like to call back, we'd happily take your call. You have room to dial in right now, 833-288-3986. So Charles Beery, our producer, figured out based on U.S., this is U.S. stats, U.S., it's over 1% of the population is homeless, the youth. That's a problem. That's a real problem, folks. Is it because we don't have, the right support for families? Could that be it? We know that as Catholics, we know that the demons are definitely trying to attack the family. We know that. So what does that say? What do we do? That's the truth of things, right? But what do we do about it? Well, we have to start supporting the families. We have to start strengthening the families. We have to start safeguarding the families with prayers and protection. It's very important. But are people doing it? That's the question, The concept of subsidiarity, the church is very, it promotes this idea of keeping it very local, right? So the local community, the parish level, down to where you live, your town, your city, those things should be in place as a foundation for our kids to grow. When back in the day, okay, yes, I'm showing my age. I'm 58. Back in the day, we did have the neighbors that helped raise the family. We did have a community. People, and back where I grew up in New Jersey, I actually could go into my neighbor's house. Her back door was unlocked, and I used to go in for an afternoon snack at her house. No joke. I really did. I used to come home from school, and I knew she always baked the best cookies, and I'd walk into the back door of her house and say hello to her and sit down and eat some cookies. Does that happen today? I don't know. Are we watching what's going on with our children? I mean, maybe you do live in an area where you do still have that kind of hometown feel, and that's wonderful. But I know where I live in Arizona, it's growing very, very quickly, and it is becoming like a mini, LA out here. I love Los Angeles, but it's very crowded, and it's becoming just like that. And it's a lot of new people are moving in very quickly, and when you don't know them, everybody wants to keep to themselves. Not everybody wants to mix and mingle, so that's a problem. But let's hear what Michelle has to say. Michelle is in Arizona. Same state as I am, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the program.
Hi, this is Michelle. Yeah, I just wanted to comment, on your subject of youth homelessness. So we have raised 10 children, my husband and I, and 5 of them were adopted. And this was this was brought up, homelessness, by at least 3 of them at, a certain age, 16, 17. And, they will go so far as to say this is their plan, this is their goal. And it didn't seem to matter how we taught them. We explained, the dangers, we explained the difficulties, we explained, this time in your life is to prepare you, get on your feet, and this is what we're doing, and this is what you can do. No, none of it matters. And I really think the root of a lot of this thinking by these kids, and no, don't get me wrong, I know some are homeless because of no fault of their own. But I think there is a trend among youth and young people, young adults, in our world, and it's forwarded by the world thinking that you shouldn't put responsibilities on kids. You shouldn't teach them how to support themselves. You should let them be free. You shouldn't make them earn it. You're too hard on them. This wasn't an issue many, many years ago because kids were taught this is how it's got to be. And they complied, and they did it. And now they want to be free. I hear this from our last 216. I want to be free. I just want to be free. What do?
Yeah, Michelle, I talked about that at the beginning of the show, about this idea that they don't want any rules, don't want any responsibilities, they don't want to be accountable. It's a free spirit type of mentality. They feel like there's such a sense of like a freedom that they're out on the streets and they can do whatever they want to do, however they want to do it. But I agree with you. But here's the problem, Michelle. I'm in life coaching, and I've been doing life coaching since. And thank you for raising. Did you say 10 children?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yes.
You sound so young. You sound like a child yourself.
Oh, thank you. I'm in my 50s. My husband's in his 60s, and we raised them with the Lord. Sorry, not Catholic. I'm very sorry, but I'm a new convert.
Oh,
and
nice.
My daughter who's 16. But yes, I do understand that we have to do something. And I've just today I'm going to be inducted as a Vincentian with the church, and I've been doing a lot of work.
Wow.
In that arena. And I went to college for social work, so I have quite a background. And I do have a heart for these kids and these people that are homeless. I mean, there are a lot. We're in Sierra Vista, and it's here, Part of it, the nice weather is more conducive. It's usually nice enough, even when it's hot, they can usually find a place. But it's even worse because the weather is not too severe, and people think they look at responsibility and boundaries that you have to have a successful life in a home as restraints, as the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah, discipline.
And that's hard to turn around.
Mm-hmm. Well, but Michelle, you're in social work, and I just wanted to share this. In the work that I do in coaching, a lot of times when we deal with the young adults or the youth, they'll say things like, I don't have to listen. I don't have to obey. I don't have to do this. And I'm thinking, where did that come from? I would never have said that when I was growing up. Would you, Michelle? Because I would have never said that. I mean, there would have been
you wouldn't. No.
Yeah, and I don't understand this idea that they don't have to recognize authority, because it goes back to religion. It goes back to a faith life, right, Michelle? Because God is a God who values and honors authority. God does that. God set it up that way. And he recognizes that. We'll look at the commandments. Honor your father and mother. I mean, these are big things. And I don't understand how these kids these days, because I can say that, Michelle, because I'm a grandmother, how these kids these days have this, they just are repulsed by anyone older than them guiding or mentoring them. They want to figure it out themselves. And we know that that with the economy and everything that's going on in this world, that's a problem, because a lot of these kids are moving back into the basement of their parents' homes because they can't afford places to live because of what's happening. So, Michelle, I don't know how we fix this unless we take it right back to the family, each individual family. What do you say?
I totally agree. Last year I did first year confirmation class and I had a group of girls. I was a facilitator, and I had a group of 6 girls, and I fell in love with them, high school girls, and I tried, and that's where I think it starts. There's not enough. I'm critical, but I love the church. Okay, I love it dearly. I'm so glad I'm here, but I am critical. I see there isn't enough. We don't have parents that care enough to raise their kids out of the current culture and say, this is the way, let's walk in it. And these are boundaries from God, and this will only help you. And yes, they'll stray. We have children that have strayed, but the Bible promises they will come back. Yeah. If you put it in there, it'll live in there, and they'll come back. That's the best we can do. And I think that's what we have to do. We're kind of beyond the years of kids, but I have a heart for them. They need us. I pray for those 6 girls, every week, Lord, speak to them, lead them. But, we have a society that says to them on every turn, you can do anything you want. Yeah. And they don't explain that, by the way. They don't say, well, within certain boundaries. No, they don't. You can do anything you want. We empower you. It's your choice. And they hear this all day long.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Michelle, did you say you came into the Catholic Church this year or last year?
Last year, 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Welcome home. Wow, that's wonderful. And you're active in it. That's beautiful. But Michelle, you're spot on. And here's the other problem too, is I think there's this almost competition with their peers, right? If their peers are doing it, they just feel like, well, that's something that's cool or something that they can do, or if there's a neat story around it. I've heard that before too, that I've done some youth classes, and I've had kids stand up and they'll say, oh, let me tell you about my experience. And they became the celebrity in the group because they experienced this very unique thing outside of the family. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's not a way to gain attention. And it seems so distorted, and it really bothered me so greatly. But these kids are being led that way, so easily influenced. Anything you want to say about that?
Yes, I totally agree. And we had 2 children actually that were homeless. One got married in 95, so it's about 97, 98, and it was my husband's son. Turned 16, his mother sent him to us, unfortunately with all these issues that she couldn't handle. And he was with us, and he didn't want to do school, and we gave him a year, and every single day he got this yellow slip saying, I haven't done this and I haven't done that. Dad finally disenrolled him and said, okay, get a job. Didn't like that either. So he's sneaking in the morning. Dad says, okay, you're gone. Those are the rules. You can't sneak out. You can't do drugs. So off he went. He was homeless. But the funny thing is, he had said ahead of time that was what he was going to do. Where he got that idea, I don't know. And we're like, you want to be homeless? That's a terrible goal. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and it came true. He was homeless about a year, got himself in a little trouble just after he turned 18, went to jail. We left him there 6 weeks. And they ended up dropping the charges. It really wasn't a crime, a huge crime, but, he stole a sign from an abandoned Circle K. Not a big deal, right? But still, let him learn his lesson. And, of course, he ran back to Mama after that, and he's lived his life. But then my son, he's 34 now, he got into drugs at 16. Everything we tried didn't work. He didn't want it. He listened to what's out there, and he's like, I can do it. I'm fine. I can do what I want. unfortunately, he has been in drugs ever since until 2 years ago.
Oh, so he made a decision to step away from that life?
And we came to a place with the Lord where my husband's heart was changed toward him, and we could see that he was ready, and we invited him to our home. Well, camper out back, not in our home. But, and he got clean, and he is clean. But he was homeless for years.
Wow.
On the streets of Tucson.
Wow. But praise God, he's back and living a good life for himself. Michelle, you're amazing. Thank you for weighing in on this. You hear the music. I'm going to have to hit the pause button, but I so appreciate your take on this. We needed to hear it. Michelle, you got the conversation going. You can join now and speak like Michelle did about youth homelessness. Please call in 833-288-3986, and I'll be right back with Marie from Oklahoma City.
This is Cy Kellett. We're here to take your calls on apologetics and evangelization on Catholic Answers Live tonight, 6 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck. This is an EWTN bookmark brief. Speaking with Father Glenn Sedano, CFR, about the book Father Benedict Answers Your Questions by Father Benedict Groeschel from the television program he did for us for many years, Sunday Night Live. With these kinds of questions that Father Benedict would answer, how would he approach them?
Face to face. He didn't like beating around the bush a lot, you know what I mean? So he would be very, very clear, kind, concise, and sometimes spiced up with a quote which he just pulled out of his mind. And but it was always satisfying. You weren't left like hanging, if you will. It was very, very clear and cogent.
Father Benedict Answers Your Questions by Father Benedict Groeschel, proudly published by EWTN, EWTNRC.com. I'm Doug Keck. Thanks for stopping by.
This is Jerry Usher. If you missed part of today's show, catch the encore tonight at midnight Eastern or anytime at EWTN Podcast Central. Visit us at EWTN.com/radio/podcasts.
If you have the MyTuner app, you can listen to EWTN Radio's live stream. Open the MyTuner app and search EWTN.
This is EWTN, Catholic Radio.
Dr. David Anders here. Where is purgatory in the Bible? Why confess my sins to a priest?
Find out more at 2 p.m. Eastern on Call to Communion.
Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Okay, I know this is a tougher topic today, especially for a Monday, youth homelessness. We're talking about Arizona leads the nation, and it's growing each year, probably because of the predictable weather. We have very predictable weather. But I want to get to Marie in Oklahoma City, but a couple of folks were on the line and made some comments, and you dropped off. So if you'd like to call back, we had, calls from North Dakota and Texas and other areas. If you'd like to call back, I'd really love to have a discussion with you so we can maybe leave this brief hour together with a better understanding of what we can start doing today about this crisis, because it's bad. It's growing. We need to do something about it. In addition to the powerful effects of prayer. So always remember that prayer works. But let's really talk about it. 833-288-3986. Or maybe you are homeless right now. You are listening to us. You have your phone with you. You could dial in 833-288-3986 and let us know why you are there. If you are happy on the streets, if you want to get off the streets, then I would suggest praying to Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa of Calcutta, because she is known for helping people leave the life on the streets and to get into a better, stable situation. So Mother Teresa is your go-to saint. 833-288-3986. Please call in. We're going to get to Marie as promised. She's in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, on Catholic Broadcasting. Hi, Marie. Welcome to the program. Hello, Marie. Oh, Marie, are you there? Please tell me you didn't step away from the phone.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. Go right ahead.
Okay, sorry. There's something weird with the radio because I was in the middle of listening to someone else speaking, and then I didn't. So I apologize. I was just going to say, can you hear me? Okay.
Absolutely. You go right ahead.
Okay, thanks. That on your topic of children and homelessness, I am a former teacher. I'm a mother of 3. I'm an attorney. I'm a family attorney. I used to be a teacher, and I represent foster children in the system. Sorry, I'm moving to my car, so be quieter. Mm-hmm. And what I would want to express was that, I appreciate so much everybody who volunteers to be a foster parent, and it's wonderful. But this is something we have to really understand and take to heart, that these children are coming from places that are unimaginable. I mean, absolutely unimaginable. And they're trying to escape it. Sometimes the shelter will take them. Sometimes they won't. And I've had kids who've gone through 7 foster homes, and people have the most wonderful intentions. But everybody needs to understand these are children. Even if you get a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old, they've been in such horrible situations. And then if they've been homeless on top of that, we have to meet them where they are. So, anyway, this is one of my passions. And so I thought that, if people understand it, and when you meet with these kids, I think sometimes people think, well, look, I'm giving them everything that, blah, 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 all of this, and I've taken them into my home. Well, they're very unused to this kind of treatment. And so, nobody should expect to have anyone gush over them. Absolutely. Respect your rules. If they can't stay in your house, that's fine. But at the same time, I think as a community, we need to look at how damaging and how awful it is for these children. And one book I would recommend is called The Body Keeps Score. And it's basically about trauma, childhood trauma, and how that changes your limbic system. And you don't react the same way that you should if you had not been through that trauma, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know of that book. So trauma, yes, and the foster system, the foster care system, absolutely. There's cracks in the system as well. You said some of these kids go from multiple homes during their childhood. But here's, Marie, what do you say to the parents that do have those good intentions, that go into foster care? They want to be foster parents. They want to raise children in a healthy, wholesome environment. But these kids just aren't, able to be, coached and trained and mentored and loved. And so they do find the streets more liberating, and they can do what they want when they want, and they can feel just like they're on their own, independent. What do you say to these families? Because I think the whole entire, from family all the way out to this is my personal opinion, Marie, you tell me what you think, because you're in this industry and this is where you work as a family attorney. The whole entire system is broken, from the individual to the family to the city to the government to everything. It's just broken in so many ways because it's not really serving people well, because I hear it from parents. They feel like they're handcuffed. They can't do certain things to try and train and to raise children. What do you say to that?
No, I think that's absolutely right. And I mean, if you're talking about your own children, obviously, who live in your house and you've been raised in a loving environment, that's one thing. But if you're talking about, having a foster child into your house, again, like I said, I think that obviously they have to follow the rules. They have to have no drugs in the house. They have to do these sorts of things. And they've come from a family where they were probably allowed to do those things, because neglect is the very least of the abuses that happen. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we'd think that was a big deal, but it's not. And so these children understand they have to take care of themselves. And so if I want to be on the street, but what I would tell these foster parents, from someone who advocates for them, represents them, and, has seen a lot of this, you really need to understand your child's file, where they're coming from, because you can't expect change overnight. This is a long process. If you're in it, then that's fine. And it's foster, it's temporary, that's fine. But at the same time, some of these older children, especially older boys, really thrive if they can get into a solid environment where they know, even if they're not going to be adopted, they'll at least be there for 4 years. But you can't expect them to just suddenly be like, oh, look, I've got my own room and a bed now and this and that, because they're not used to that. And so make sure you know their history. And I hate to say this, but how bad their history is. I had one little girl who was running away because her brother was, her half-brother was raping her. And so the parents put padlocks and cameras in the house in order to stop this. So, you just need to know the history and, understand that when kids get cycled through all this, and Marie, please, I do not want anyone to think that I'm saying don't become a foster parent, because, as you become a new parent, you don't know what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing when I first became a parent. So that's the same thing with foster parents. It's just, you have to go back to that, I guess, original primal deal of where you're just like, there's a whole bunch here that I don't know, that I can help this child if I can get to it. And I'm positive that we can help these children. We can get them over this trauma.
Wow, you really are invested in your work. I can hear it in your voice. It's a passion of yours, isn't it?
Oh my gosh! Like I said, I used to be a teacher, and I became a family attorney because I wanted to support my kids. But it is. I want to go back to being. It's absolutely, but it's key. It's key. And I used to say this to my kids, my 3 boys. I said, "Here's the deal." I said, "I have 3 things on my bucket list, and that's your names. That's it. That's all I want to do in this life." Well, these children don't, and I'm not saying I'm fantastic. I've made lots of mistakes, believe me, as a parent. But I'm just saying these children do not come from an area of an acceptance or anything like that. And I'm not saying there's other kids that don't just get hooked on drugs and move out and have a great family life, but I'm talking particularly with the foster system. Right. It's and like you said, it's so broken, but we have to invest in fixing it. If we don't, so anyway, yes, I'm very passionate about it. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Well, what would you recommend for us to do today, in addition to prayer, Marie? What would you recommend for us to do? Should we call, like, the local chapters of places to see where we can volunteer, maybe be a mentor, a coach for some of these kids, or help in some way?
Yes, let me give you a perfect example. I have one child who I'm representing right now, and he is in a sort of extreme lockdown group home because he self-harms and all these other sorts of things. But, he hasn't had a day pass, but he finally had really great behavior, so he got a day pass. And there was a family who was able to say, yeah, we'll take him and we'll go out and have a 3-hour 4th of July celebration just for 3 hours, right? Mm-hmm. To say, so if there are kids who are available for, you know what I'm saying, these kids need outings, they need to go places, or even look into various things that you can do. I mean, equine therapy is a huge thing. There's anybody can do, and I say privately because that's where we know it's going, rather than, private money, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, to look at it and see if there's anything you can do in your community, because I don't think that people understand, and these children are trafficked, they're sex trafficked. Mm-hmm. I mean, so even if you can give them a little bit of hope, like, look, and the thing is, too, is I understand the importance of, putting it into their head, this is your responsibility, your responsibility, your responsibility. But the other option is to say, this is all of our responsibilities. And I know that you've been hurt, and I'm going to try to help you fix that. And I know you may not believe me right now, but we're going to go on this outing, and you're going to see how my family behaves when we go to Incredible Pizza and have a fantastic time. You can do that, too. Showing them good behavior, I guess, is what I would say, right. And a community that's supporting them.
Right, to model good behavior. And I like what you had to say, because, like, my husband played basketball in college, and he's always wanted to just, play basketball with some young kids and teach them the skills. But he's like, I can't sign up for every single week. I can't, I don't want to go through all this stuff that I have to commit, but if I can do it once in a while. And so you're saying that to make those calls and maybe jump in when there's an hour or two that they make. Okay. That's great.
Yes. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things we can do, because, like I said, is then, we get so much out of it, and then these children see, I understand somebody else failed you, but there are other things in the community. And then they start to trust again. They start to trust again eventually. So
I love that. I love that.
I love this topic today. I really appreciate you doing it.
Oh, thank you, Marie. Marie, I know it's your occupation, but I got to tell you, it's a ministry with you. I can hear it in your heart. So God bless you. Many blessings to you. Thank you for calling in and sharing and on this topic. You're right, a very important topic. But I already got something. I can't wait to share with my husband that he could pick up the phone and maybe offer his basketball skills to some youth. And I think that's wonderful. Marie, thank you. God bless you. We're going to let you go with that. Jesse, hold on from North Carolina. Jesse, don't go anywhere. I just have to share this with our Take Two family. Radio Extra. EWTN Radio Essentials is now EWTN Radio Extra. I love that. It's the past, present, and future of Catholic radio. You'll hear classic programs from Mother Angelica and Dr. Scott Hahn, timeless devotionals, and award-winning podcasts from our partners on EWTN's Podcast Central. Listen to EWTN Radio Extra on the EWTN app, on smart speakers, and on EWTN.com. So Radio Essentials is now called EWTN Radio Extra. That sounds so cool. I love that. Okay, Jesse in North Carolina on Sirius XM 130. You're up next on Take Two. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Jesse. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so listening to everyone, as a parent, I'm very blessed that my son is not homeless. He's going to college and all of that. But as a parent, I think it is our responsibility as parents and as a society to step up, because if you have watched in the last 20 years, maybe more, we have seen a rise in homelessness in our youth. What has been happening in our world? Well, a lot. We have let God out of everything. We, as a nuclear family, have been diminishing. As a civilization, we have let the commodities of life take over and not see the importance of our youth. We have seen a big growth in drugs, alcohol, sex trafficking, and all of that. But what we have done is stay quiet. We have let legislatures, we have let even our state government dictate what we can and cannot do. And as people of society, it is our duty to help the other. So I think we all just need to have a voice and stand up for that and bring that into light and help with, as the other lady said, in the aspects that we have certain things to help our youth understand that they're valuable. And yes, that they can do things, but there are limits to what they can do. And that's one thing that we have to start teaching our children. You can achieve various things, but there are consequences on each thing. And I think that's where we are lacking as a society, that we're not holding our children accountable for things. And so when they go out into the world or they see something enticing, it attracts them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I totally
that's
agree.
where we need to come in and say, look, yes, you can achieve to do this, but at the same token, these are also the things that you have to look for and teach them those things.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in a society that parents want to be friends with their children, and we cannot do that. We have to be parents.
Right, right. Do you think that there's a fear with an underlying fear with parents that they feel like if they do come across too harsh, like they were raised, we hear that all the time. I want you to have a different childhood than what I had. Do you think that they're hesitant to be solid, strong parents? Do you think that they're not imparting the faith enough or some kind of Christian values? Do you think that, obviously a solid, intact family is a better situation, if you will, to parents, so that there's no, well, I'm going to go run to dad's house, or I'm going to go run to mom's house, or whatever, or this idea that they want to escape the family unit. There's so many areas, there's so many cracks that are happening, Jesse, and we know that And the other show that I co-host, the demons are they're opportunists. They are using those cracks to get in there and really divide. And so how do we start today? What do we do today to build the family, to encourage the parents to really parent well?
So I'm going to give you a brief about me. I grew up in a third world country. I came to the United States when I was about 10 years old. And my mom was very strict when we came here. She has always been. And at first, I'm going to tell you, it was hard because, you want to have that freedom that you didn't have. But at the same time, I thank my mother for that. And even though I didn't want my son to suffer the same things I did, I raised him how my mother raised me. Not in the fear that everything I was going to do, I was going to be in trouble or something was going to happen, but in the sense that there are always choices, and your choices can either be good or they can be bad. So you always have to look at the choices that you're making, how is going to impact your life. And you can be strict in that way. And I absolutely agree. The devil is an opportunist. All these demons are out there. And where is this happening? In the family. It wants to destroy the family. Our Lady said the destruction of the world is going to be the fall of the family. And until we actually come back to our roots and start praying, start helping society in our churches. I mean, our churches are empty. So that tells me that morally we are decaying. We're not holding each other to where God wants us to be. And that's where our children are being led. They are seeing an example. So if you're not being an example to that child, they're going to go the other way where things are enticing.
Yeah, they look at it that, they're in this home. It's somewhat of a prison for them. So out on the streets, they see that it's there's all these possibilities for them to do what they want to do when they want to do it, and just have that sense where nobody's telling them what to do, and so on and so forth. But I will tell you, Jesse, another thing too, just to bring up. I'm a firm believer in keeping kids busy. Always have been. My dad, that's the way you were talking about how you were raised. I was raised where my dad kept us busy. If we wanted to take a nap, he's like, no naps. You're going out there and you're mowing the lawn and you're doing this and doing that, helping me in the garden. And that's important because don't you also feel, Jesse, that when there's a sense of even boredom sets in, the kids, their mindset is not, it's not rational in some ways. When boredom gets in, it has to be filled with something, and usually it's not a positive thing. What do you say to that?
Absolutely. So, even with my son, when he was in junior high and high school, he wanted a PlayStation. I don't believe in video games. I didn't grow up with video games, so I don't believe in them. And, of course, you get the story of, well, my friends have them. Well, great. I'm glad your friends have them. Guess what? We don't have them in this house. And I was like, if you want something to do, pick up a book and read. Or, as you said, go and do something. Keep them active. Right. But when we are letting our kids just not understand what
run the house. Yeah, run the house. Yeah.
Yes. Then that's where the problem begins.
Yeah.
We have to, and if we don't have a good faith-filled life, we're not going to do any good as in the process that we're going on. I'm not saying that we as parents must be controlling. I'm saying that as parents, we must be strict and ensure that our children are following God. Because that's the first thing, is God, then family. But when we just forget about the main person of our lives, this is what happens. And that's what is happening everywhere. Not just here, but around the world. And it's sad.
Right.
But what is the most common denominator? People have let God go.
Well, you're spot on about that, because in religious education, I used to get young families all the time, and they would say to me, "Well, we don't want to force religion on our kids. You know, we were raised in a religious household, and we don't like that feeling. It was so oppressive. We don't want that. So we're going to let our kids decide. I mean, we'll put them through the sacraments, but we're not going to push it and stuff like that." And I said, "Well, you know what? They're going to end up being nothing then, because that's usually what happens." And they're like, "Really? Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can show you some figures on this, some numbers of surveys and stuff." And they're like, "Well, we don't really want to do that to our children." And that to me, because parents are the primary catechists. Parents are supposed to step up and set those boundaries and teach about God's commands and God's laws and the way God set it up. So I so agree with you, Jesse. But before you go, let me just share this with you on social media, because we have some that are affirming what you're saying. Joe T says homeless children are a result of the breakdown in the family institution. It's exactly what you were saying, Jesse. Thank you so much. I appreciate the call. I've got to let you go with that, because I only have a couple minutes left, and I want to just thank a few folks like on social media. Marianne M says, "It's a shame that we are seeing youth homelessness. Yes, something needs to be done about it. Our children aren't being taught how to be a good Christian citizen." I mean, our Judeo-Christian values in this country seem to be non-existent these days. Everybody's creating their own rules. It's really quite disturbing. You know, I said it 3 times today, because it's the first time in 58 years I've ever worn glasses, and I'm cracking up because I'm typing over to the show team, and I'm misspelling everything, because it's interesting how you have to get used to glasses, but I'm starting to get used to them. And I want to thank you all for the kind comments that came in about the glasses. I appreciate it. You're just being too kind, but thank you so much. But in the 58 years that I've lived and walked this earth, I will tell you that I'm in the process now of looking backwards instead of looking forward. I'm looking back and taking just a kind of a look at my whole entire life and growing up and everything. And it has changed dramatically. And I don't, I guess there are things, I know there are things we can do, but especially I just believe so much that we have to get our baptized Catholic children in front of the Eucharist. Please bring them to adoration. Bring them to adoration, even if you have to force them to sit for 10 minutes. Just tell them to sit quietly. Tell them to close their eyes. Let Jesus, and when they open their eyes, Jesus is gazing upon them, and they can gaze upon Jesus. It is so important to get them in front of Jesus. I cannot stress it enough. When I was a youth minister, I used to take the teens in front of the Eucharist in adoration several times a year, a school year, a religious education school year. And these big football playing, high schoolers loved it. They would fall asleep. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay in the presence, because it's Jesus and truly present. And that peace came over them, and they just got such clarity. So please, folks, if you have your Catholic kids, get them in front of the Eucharist, the Most Holy Eucharist. Okay, you hear the music. I want to thank the show team. Charles did a fabulous job. Matt on the phones, always awesome. And Michael McCall on social media. Thanks again for the kind comments. You'll be seeing these glasses for the next, I think, 2 or 3 months. We want to thank the affiliates that carry the program. Jerry will be back tomorrow. We're talking about, is there someone you can't or won't stop praying for? Interesting. And we want to always mention the saint of the day, St. Kilian. And so we ask St. Kilian to pray for all of us. And until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you real soon.
The most original Catholic content is on EWTN Radio.
If I put all the